Hello everyone, welcome to Let's Crack UPSC CSE English. About me, I am Sandeep Bhushan Thummala. I have 10 years of teaching experience for civil services. I teach international relations, internal security, and in-depth analysis of the Hindu newspaper, wherein I will be covering the editorials and articles which will be very useful for you to crack prelims and mains examination, because throughout my lecture I would be emphasizing on the keywords and the key phrases from the editorials and articles, wherein I would be again make you understand that how we can identify the factual and analytical questions for the preliminary examination. So definitely you will be beneficial by identifying the keywords and the key phrases, and make you understand, making sure that how the factual and analytical questions can be helpful for you for the prelims examinations, and by imbibing the keywords and the key phrases in your answer writing, wherein your answer writing will be in regards to the mains, you will be very precise and concise once you get into the habit of imbibing the keywords and the key phrases from the editorials and articles into your answer writing, so that you will score more marks in the mains examinations. Therefore, my session will definitely help you in regards to cracking prelims and mains with a high scoring marks, so that even in 2020 as well as 2021, and prior to that you have a notification that is in regards to Let's Crack UPSC CSE English, which is India's largest learning platform. And once you get subscribed, you will have unlimited live and recorded courses from the India's best educators. And the other privileges you get once you subscribe are the daily live classes, live test and quizzes, structured courses, and unlimited access to the live and recorded courses. And these are the educators which you can see it on your screen, and the courses which you are being offered by Unacademy are the economy, environment and ecology, current affairs, and all of the courses which you can see it on your screen. Along with that, you have the essay writing, internal security, and social issues also, which you can also see it on your screen. And in regards to the Let's Crack UPSC CSE English subscription, you have 12 months of subscription, wherein the original price is 44,000. Do use my code SBT10 to avail 10% discount, that is Sandeep Bhushan Thummala 10. You will have 10% discount on the 44,000, the original amount, and the discounted price would be 39,600. So definitely along with the 12 months you have 24 months subscription, wherein the original price is 64,000, and do use my code SBT10, that is Sandeep Bhushan Thummala 10, to avail 10% discount on the original price, that is 64,000, and the discounted price would be 57,600. So do use my code SBT10 for 12 months as well as 24 months to avail 10% discount, and then get the discounted price while you are subscribing for Let's Crack UPSC CSE English. And once this session is in regards to the in-depth analysis of the trending editorials and articles, and my tagline which goes ahead like emphasizing on the keywords and the key phrases. So definitely I would be emphasizing on the keywords and the key phrases, which will be certainly useful for the prelims as well as mains examinations. And before I get into the topic, I would say very good morning to everyone who is in the live and also in the live chat. Very good morning to you all. Chetan and then Satya, very good morning to you all. And then now we get into the article which talks about why China is being aggressive along the LAC. So definitely we have seen right from May 5th of 2020, we have seen the kind of aggression or ingress by the Chinese troops into the LAC, along the LAC, and also into the Indian territory along the Galwan Valley and also in the Pyongyang Lake. So that is the aggression which is going on by China along the LAC into the Indian territory. And now we will look at why the author or what the author is talking about, why China is being aggressive along the LAC. We will look at various factors why it is going at and what is the strategy it is actually following, making sure that in that aggression mode, ingressing into the Indian territory, what is the strategy it is using. Definitely it is using a salami slice strategy. So this strategy also we will look at what kind of strategy, how it is being beneficial for China in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic situation, the way it is going ahead with getting into the LAC, and then making sure that it has or it will certainly grab some part of Indian territory. So this is making it very clear that how the aggression is going ahead by China along the LAC. So we will look at all that, and also the kind of perception of decline what is happening in regards to China or India's. So we will look at all that. So we will definitely look at why China is being aggressive along the LAC. We have seen the ongoing tension which is between India and China along the LAC, and this is the biggest national security challenge for India. Now, whatever is going on, that is in the LAC region, it is the biggest national security challenge for India since last 20 years. So this is the key phrase, biggest national security challenge to India, and especially we are seeing that in the Galwan Valley, we have seen that wherein our brave 20 Indian soldiers have lost their life in the Galwan Valley, and also in the Pyongyang So Lake. We have seen that, and this is the reason why there is definitely a biggest national security challenge for India, because it is the first instance after 1975. So we have seen the last instance wherein in 1975 the ingress of Chinese troops into India in the Tabang districts, wherein four Assam Rifles Jawans have been killed in the 1975, and after 45 years, now in the Galwan Valley, we have seen 20 brave Indian soldiers who have lost their life, and this is the reason why it is the biggest national security challenge. And definitely now China is reviving its claim in the Galwan Valley. It is saying very clearly that the entire Galwan Valley is ours, and then it is asking India to pull back from the area, that is from the Galwan area. That is why it is the biggest national security challenge for India. That is why it is the biggest national security challenge for India. Definitely, it is a cause of concern after 1975. The kind of situation which is going on between India and China along the LAC is the one which we have seen recently or recent past. We have seen even the kind of ingress from China's troops in 2013, 2014, in 2017, and now 2020. 2017 we have seen in the Doklam Plateau, and then 2014 Depsang Plain, and then we have seen 2013 also along the LAC in the Aksai Chin region. So definitely there is a situation wherein it is creating a face-off situation between India and China. And despite having many military level talks, many military command level talks, and also in regards to the having diplomatic engagement, military engagement, but we are definitely seeing that there is a biggest national security challenge to India. For sure, it is the biggest challenge to India. And if you look at what are the areas wherein China or Chinese troops have ingressed into the Indian territory, that is along the LAC, is in the Depsang area. So this is the area, that is Depsang area. This is the area which is very close to Daulat Beg Oldie. Daulat Beg Oldie is the Indian Air Base. Indian Air Base. It is Indian Air Base, and it is very close to the Karakoram Pass. It is very close to the Karakoram Pass, and this Depsang area is the one wherein we can strategically locate, wherein we can strategically locate the tanks, that is military tanks. That is skillfully we can locate the tanks at this area. So that is why Depsang area is strategically very important for India as well as China, and also Galwan flashpoint. So this is the area wherein the flashpoint has taken between both the groups, that is Indian and Chinese, that is the Galwan Valley, and you have this hot spring in this area. This is also an area which it is a conflict area between India and China, and you have this Pyongyang Lake wherein it is almost like L shape, Pyongyang Lake. So here you have the finger 8 starting here till here finger 1. So 1 to 8 we have, I mean the finger 1 to 8, and the one which is the conflict area is the finger 4. So definitely finger 4 is the a conflict area between India and China, that is Pangyongso Lake. And if you look at, definitely this is a Galwan area again for a better understanding, and this is a hot spring wherein it is a conflict area. Chushul is also a conflict area between India and China, and then even in regards to Demchuk is also the conflict area between India and China along the LAC. And I was talking about Depsang. This is the one. Depsang plain is the one which is very close to, as I said, Karakoram Pass, which is very close to Karakoram Pass and Daulat Beg Oldie. It is a, see here you have Daulat Beg Oldie, which is the airbase, Indian airbase at an altitude of 16,000 feet, which is very close to the Karakoram Pass. So definitely at the Depsang and then Galwal Valley and then at the hot springs and then Pyongyang Lake. So this is Pyongyang Lake, this one. So these are the areas which are the conflict between India and China along the LAC. And this is the area we need to understand that how the situation is causing a biggest national security challenge to India. Biggest national security challenge to India. And you can also have this line which is divided. This is the Foreign Office line 1873, and you have the line of actual control, this one, and then you have the McCarthy McDonald 1899, and this is the international boundary according to India. Please do understand India, or it is also called as Johnson line. It is also called as Johnson line. And what line this China considers is this dotted line, which is the 1960 Chinese claim line of 1960. But the one which is the thick one, this one, this thick one is the LAC, line of actual control. So definitely if we look at, see, from 1956 line of claim from China, here it has moved almost this much, this distance. It is moving into the Indian territory. Okay, here it has moved back, but here, especially in the Galwan Valley and then in the Depsang Plain, in the along the Pyongyang Lake, it has moved this much area into the Pyongyang Lake. So these are the areas wherein it has moved into the Indian territory, and that is the biggest national security challenge to India. This is the area wherein it has moved into Indian territory. And then Maunasri has joined, Madhu has joined, Sarthi has joined. Very good morning to all of you. And then today we are discussing, Maunasri, Madhu and Sarthi, we are discussing about today's article, that is why China is being aggressive along the LAC. Why China is being aggressive along the LAC. So that is why I have taken this LAC. But what right from 1873, again in 1899, again Johnson line, and then 1956 claim, and then again in regards to the 1960, and then the line of actual control now. And now we'll get into the what led to the current situation. So we will look at why the current situation has happened, or what is the reason behind it. So definitely, as I've said, in 2013, 2014, 2017, and now 2020. So 2013, I said in the Aksai Chin region, in 2014 Depsang Plains, 2017 Doklam Plateau, 2020 now at the Galwan Valley and also Pyongyang Lake, and then Demchuk, and then Nakula Pass. So all these are the one which are very strategically selected by China. And in the year, what I mean, we will first focus on what is the current, what led to the current situation. So we will see that in 2017, as I said, India and China have gone ahead with having a Doklam standoff for almost 72 days. That is more than 2 months it was there, and it was a Doklam standoff, that is at the tri-junction between India, China and Bhutan. So it is a tri-junction, China, or you can say the autonomous region, Tibet autonomous region, or China itself. And then it is at the Chumbi Valley. This place, the Dokla, is called as the Chumbi Valley. Chumbi Valley, and the plateau is the Dokla. Dokla is the pass and Dokla plateau. It is a plateau. So this area we have seen the standoff which has taken place, but there was no blood or no shots in the 72 days standoff between India and China in 2007 in the Doklam Plateau. In the Doklam Plateau, which is a tri-junction between India, China, and Bhutan. Definitely, at that time, it was a upset to China's domestic geopolitical sensitivities. And Modi has the Prime Minister of India has been very careful not to upset this one. So definitely, it is very clear that the kind of situation what the China was facing domestically at home and geopolitical sensitivity which it was taking up. So it was very clearly made sure that amicable solution was brought into to move away or to clear the standoff between India and Chinese troops in the Doklam area. And we have seen the way the government of India or India has reacted in regards to China having its presence in the South China Sea, wherein US and Asia Pacific countries have always asserted or reasserted India's commitment in regards to the freedom of navigation. So definitely we are talking about the freedom of navigation, that is of the in the South China Sea. In the South China Sea, the freedom of navigation, because China has gone ahead with having its way in the South China Sea, in the Nine Dash Islands, So definitely, India did not really go ahead with any kind of commitment to in favor of US or against China or against China. That is in regards to the freedom of navigation, and India has stayed away from the criticizing China onto the de-radicalization. So you have something called as de-radicalization of terrorist issues in China, that is in the Xinjiang province. So definitely it did not go ahead with any kind of criticizing China in regards to the terrorists. That is, you have Uyghur Muslims. So India did not ever challenge or criticize China's controversial topic, that is de-radicalization or about the terrorist activities which China says about the Uyghur Muslims, and also in regards to the protest in Hong Kong or disputes in Taiwan. So definitely in the past, India hasn't really made any kind of claims in regards to the Xinjiang, that is in regards to de-radicalization, or in regards to the Hong Kong protest, or in regards to the disputes which are being erupted even in China. So definitely it was taking a very balanced approach against China in the past, especially in the South China Sea or in Uyghur Muslims, that is in Xinjiang province, or also in the Hong Kong protest, and also in the disputes which are being taken up in the Taiwan. So definitely a kind of situation was there wherein both the countries were moving forward positively. But we have seen the 2017 India-China standoff, that is Doklam standoff, 72 days between India and China, and that is the reason. And then in regards to the, we have maintained such a very good relations, that is in regards to the having not really talking about in favor of US in regards to freedom of navigation, or not interfering into the Hong Kong protest or the disputes of Taiwan, or else even in regards to the Uyghur Muslims. But yet China chose to increase its tension along the LAC. So in spite of that, China is going ahead with aggressiveness. And why? We will look at. So what is the strategy China is definitely following is undoubtedly it is called as salami slice strategy. So what is that salami slice strategy? Okay, Chetan says now India should support Hong Kong and Taiwan. Okay, okay. Uh, definitely, it will definitely, India will definitely look at what are the pros and cons in regards to how best we can try to handle the situation. How best we can try to handle the situation of relieving any kind of pressure between India and China in regards to LAC. And now, what kind of strategy China is using or to increase the tension between India and China along the LAC is the salami slice strategy, SQ. And definitely it is the Chinese moves driven by local factors, that is India's infrastructure upgrade. So why China is going ahead with that aggressive or creating or increasing tensions between India and China along the LAC? Because of India's infrastructure or border infrastructure development. Because of border infrastructure development which India is taking up along the LAC is the real cause that China is going ahead with this aggressive movement. And not only that, the way we have changed in regards to the J&K reorganization or reorganization of Jammu and Kashmir, reorganization of Jammu and Kashmir Act, that is splitting J&K into J&K Union Territory and Ladakh Union Territory. So this has created kind of recklessness in the minds of the China, and it is definitely increasing the tension between or along the LAC. The main reason is infrastructure development, upgrading, and the change of status of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. And China has lost India strategically. So definitely from a few square kilometers of land in this entire argument, China has lost India strategically to the west. So definitely India might have lost some kilometers of Indian territory to China, but China has lost India strategically. So it is the loss to China, the way it is increasing the tensions and using the salami slice strategy. And Chetan says, because China is getting aggressive day by day. Yes, okay. Yes. So how to handle it is very important now. Satya says, would UN take any action on this violation border issue? Definitely we have seen UK is also UK also has reacted. US also has reacted. UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson also has reacted, and then US President Donald Trump has also reacted. And the situation now, if it is not resolved, then definitely the world countries, P5 countries, will definitely interfere, and then it will be taken up by the United Nations. And several experts have claimed that tensions on the border is driving India deeper into the strategic embrace with the US. So definitely the kind of situation it is growing along the LAC is making India getting India very close to USA, very close to USA, and there is a very clear shift in China's foreign policy also. We have seen the way China is going ahead with this foreign policy post COVID-19. So definitely post COVID-19, we have seen the kind of what you said China's foreign policy has taken a clear shift, that it is going ahead with is a kind of a different foreign policy or an aggressive foreign policy, making it very clear that it will or it is getting into the mode of an aggressive stage. And that is what is important, how or why aggressively China is going ahead, especially along the LAC, especially along the LAC. So we will look at what is that salami slides strategy and how it is really implementing that strategy, not only with India, with various Southeast Asian countries, with various Southeast Asian countries in the South China Sea, and also to the Indian subcontinent, and this is seen as the Chinese rising tension with the US. So definitely we know that now US and it is US versus China, and in the midst of the US versus China, India is now getting closer with USA. And we know that there is a rift between China and USA. There is a rift between China and Taiwan. In the South China Sea, again we have lot of issues in regards to the nine dash islands in the South China Sea. So definitely we have seen with the Taiwan various disputes, and also in regards to the Hong Kong, China has come up with a new security law in the Hong Kong. So definitely in the Hong Kong, Taiwan, and in the Southeast Asian countries in the South China Sea, there is definitely China is experiencing rising tensions against it, and these tensions along the LAC are part of the shift. And now we need to understand this shift, and then we need to get into the sense of the source of China's conduct. So definitely we have to focus on the way China is shifting its stand, and then by understanding the shift of China, we can definitely get the sense of the sources of the China's conduct, how China is behaving in the South China Sea or with the Southeast Asian countries, that is Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, Brunei, then Philippines, and also with the Taiwan, Hong Kong, and now with India, and then earlier with Sri Lanka, and now next with Bangladesh, how it will go ahead. So all this we will try to look at. Definitely, China is trying to have its ambitious rising power. It wanted to reorient the global order. It wanted to reorient the global order. So definitely, it is wanting to have its sway in the global order. It is having a ambitions to have that rising power. It wanted to rise its power. So definitely, it is not just as equivalent what Soviet Union has done in the 1940s, but China is not in an ideological state intends to export communism to other countries. So definitely, the way China has taken up the kind of situation post 1940s, that is after the after I mean in the Cold War, after the World War II, or the early stages of the Cold War. But China is not an ideological state that it is wanting to intend to export communism. So the kind of strategy used by the Soviet Union in the Cold War, post World War II, in the Cold War early stages, and the way now the Cold War is happening between India, in between US and China, the kind of shift that the China is going ahead with reorienting the global order, and or else ambitious in rising its power, is entirely different when compared it with the Soviet Union and with the China what it is going. So definitely China is in the new superpower on the rise. Is in the new superpower in the rise. The way Soviet Union has risen the post World War II, and then definitely China is adopting a tactical position. Now at this situation, China is adopting a tactful position. What it is that? This is very important. This key phrase is very important. If you are unable to see, I will read it for you. Please make a note in that. What is the tactful position is? Hide your capacity and bide your time. This is what was followed by the founding fathers of China, or the communist China. That is Mao, Zhou Enlai, Deng Xiaoping, Hu Jintao, all these people. Even now, Xi Jinping is also into that mode of making sure that it follows the statement or the idea or the ideology, that is hide your capacity and bide your time. Hide your capacity and bide your time, and peaceful rise. So it wanted to go ahead with a concept called as peaceful rise and peaceful development. Peaceful rise and peaceful development, along with hide your capacity and bide your time. I mean, wait for time. You hide your capacity, merit your strength, and then you you wait for your time. You hide your capacities and wait for your time. So this was the concept. This was a strategy used by uh, the Joy Loy, Mao, and then Deng Xiaoping, all those. And now also China is adopting the same kind of tactical position. And that era, what I have said in regards to Zhou Enlai, or in regards to Mao, Zhou, and then Deng, and then even in regards to Hu Jintao, all that era is over. And now the era is under Xi Jinping. And now with the global economy, because of the COVID-19 pandemic situation, we have seen the global economy. Global economy is certainly into the doldrums. It is what you say. It is a shaky situation, and now the globalization is in a irrecoverable crisis. So definitely now global economy is in irrecoverable crisis. So definitely it is a global economic crisis what we are facing because of the COVID-19 pandemic situation. And at this situation, because of the COVID-19 pandemic situation, Beijing or the China believes that the global order is at the breaking point, and that is what it is now trying to look at. That it has waited for this breaking point, and this breaking point is definitely advantage for China. Because definitely, if you look at the US under isolationist president, that is Richard Nixon, has gone ahead with taking the most aggressive position towards China since Richard Nixon. So we have seen right from Nixon and then various other presidents also. It is like senior George W. Bush, and then junior, and then again in regards to the We have seen the recent Barack Obama, and then now in regards to the Donald Trump, all this have gone ahead with more of aggression against China. Now China believes that it is the now the breaking point for the China to get into the mode of what have said here is that reorient the global order or the ambition of rising power. So it is the ambition of rising power and reorienting the global order, and it feels yes, it is the right time, a breaking point for the global order to be an advantage China. And now it is going ahead with a theory called as salami tactics. And what is salami tactics? It is a dominant power attempts. It is a dominant power attempts to establish its hegemony by piece by piece. So this is what salami is. So you cut into pieces, and then you try to have its hegemony. You have it, what do you say, the control, domination, the rising power, or the new reorient new global order itself. And that is what the salami tactics, and what the tactics earlier was taken up, that was hide your capacity, bide your time, peaceful rise, peaceful development. But now it is the salami tactics. What is that? Dominant power attempts to establish its hegemony. How? Piece by piece by piece. And that is what it is. And now India is one slice in this entire salami slice strategy. I think now you are getting the point. I think now you are getting the point, that salami slice. So this is salami. It is a nutritious food. It is a nutritious food. So you are slicing, the way you slice the salami, the same way China's aggression or aggressive or increasing the tension along the LAC is an attempt that is called as salami tactics. That is establishing its hegemony, not completely, but by piece. If you look at strategically, 2016, it has gone ahead with 9-islands in the South China Sea, with the Southeast Asian countries, with Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, again in regards to the Philippines, Brunei. So all that is done. Now it is coming to the what it has come to China in regards to the CPEC. Now Nepal has done, and now India, and next will be Bangladesh. Sri Lanka is done. So the way it is going, and it has also pierced into the African continent also. So look at the way it is going ahead with the strategy called as salami strategy or salami tactics. The way you slice, and India is one slice in this salami slice strategy, and this we need to understand it very technically. And then Satya says that if China is wanting to reorient the global order, okay, it should provide funds for third world countries, okay, it should lead the world from the welfare of the people of the global world rather than become aggressive. That is what. Now the question is very clear. Now the question is very clear whether all the countries will accept this salami strategy, and whether this salami strategy will be a boomerang to the China itself, or it will backfire China itself. We will look at, and the perception of decline. Now see, we have looked at why China is being aggressive along the LAC. Why China is being aggressive along the LAC, we have looked at this. Fine. And then we have looked at what led to the current situation, that is 2017 Doklam issue. Look at the way strategy, I mean very constructively we are going ahead. And then we have looked at here that India really did not talk against the China in regards to freedom of navigation. It did not criticize China in regards to de-radicalization. That is what I said in the Xinjiang province. That is in regards to the Uyghur Muslims. It did not really protest the Hong Kong protest. It did not really find any fault at the disputes of the Taiwan. But instead, China has increased tensions along the LAC. Why? Because of the salami slice strategy. This strategy. And now we will look at the perception of decline. So China doesn't see India as a swing state. It is not looking at a India wherein it will definitely move or swing its movement or its what is a development anymore, because it sees India is a ally in progress of the USA. So definitely it is not a swing state. It is understood now. It is not swinging from one position to another position. It is not swinging. Fine, but it is now ally of US. So definitely it is now part of US being sided, and its actions were not reckless, taken that at the risk of losing India strategically. So definitely China is not worried about whether it will lose. I mean, in this entire phase of along the LSC, China is not worried about losing India strategically. Losing India strategically, it is not worried at this moment. Please do understand. China is not worried losing India strategically. And China's actions are a result of what it perceives as a strategic loss that has already happened. So definitely it feels that there is already a loss which has happened. So now need not really worried about whether whether we get into the intense tension creating along the LSC with India. China is not really worried. And if India will get into the mode of trying to have or closely associated with the Western countries and then create, I mean, India as an, if Western countries are looking at India as a counterweight, if the Western countries or European countries are looking at India as a counterweight to China or China's rise. So if the Western countries are looking at India as a counterweight to China's rise, so definitely Beijing message is not that it is not really worried or deterred about the way the Western countries think that if India is now rising as a counterweight to China, it is sending a message through the LAC that standoff or the skirmishes or the face off between India and China along the LSE, what it is sending a message that in China is not worried about if the Western countries are definitely supporting India as a counterweight to China's rise. And this is a message not just to India but to the host of China's rivals also. And definitely within the bottom framework there are various factors, that is local factors, regional factors and global factors, which influence the China's move, which influence the way China is wanting to reorient the global world order itself. And definitely when the most of the world's big powers are with pandemic, now China is getting into the mode of geopolitical maneuvering. Look at it, when the entire world is in the in the midst of the pandemic situation, now the China is getting into more room, creating more room for the geopolitical maneuvering in the sense skillfulness. Skillfully it is enacting geopolitically. And Europe, we have seen it has been devastated by the virus. US is also battling because of the COVID-19 situation. Its economy has been badly hit, meltdown post Great Depression. And then also in regards to the economic recession, we have seen depression, we have seen in 1930s, and then 2008 we have seen again economic crisis, again 2020 we have seen the COVID-19 pandemic situation. So US and Europe is definitely reeling under economic crisis. So that is why China at this moment it is trying to have or trying to use more room for geopolitical maneuvering in the sense skillfully trying to have that salami slide strategy, skillfully use that salami slide strategy. And then Indian economy is definitely is in trouble because of the COVID-19. And this also we have seen there is a social uphill, there is Indian economy is what do you say under trouble. Not only that, Indian society culturally also, if you look at because of the CAA and then NRC, CAA and NRC also, we have seen the kind of unrest what is happening in the Indian polity. So it has gauged, it has sensed, it has taken into consideration various factors, and then it is finding a way to suppress or to get into the mode of salami slice strategy. Are you getting the point? India's economy is down. Socially or culturally, Indian economy is also down. Fine. And then again, if you look at US economy is down, Europe's economy is down. So at this COVID-19 pandemic situation, what China is trying to do is gain that more room geopolitically, and that is what is the kind of situation what China is trying to take the advantage in the entire scenario. And then Satya says that will a countrywide boycott of Chinese product in India lead to China tension of ally with India? To my knowledge, India cannot go ahead with boycotting completely all of a sudden the Chinese product, because we need to first strengthen our indigenous manufacturing unit, financially support the indigenous manufacturing unit, and then we need to be in a position to produce the products such a way that we are able to meet the demand. We need to create the supply, production has to take place, and then the demand has to be as equal to the supply, or supply as should be as equal to the demand. Only then later on we can make sure that we increase, or we will be self sufficient individually, that is within the country. That is because the post self-reliant, Atmanirbhar Bharat, Make in India, Made in India, and then gradually reduce the imports from the China, and then gradually increase the exports to China or else any other country. I think Satya, you got the point. And then India's traditional clout in the sense influence of power in its neighborhood is slipping, and this is a very very important, what do you say, reason. If you look at from conceptual understanding, why India is, what do you say, in this situation, because Pakistan, from Nepal, from China, there is an attack to India. We have seen POK, LOC, and then Kalapani issue, or the new political map issue, and then along the LAC. Definitely what is happening is the India's traditional influence or power in its neighborhood is slipping. So definitely there is tension with Pakistan. Nepal has raised the boundary issues. Sri Lanka, we have this diversifying its foreign policy, because we have in regards to the fisherman issues, and also in regards to the kind of article you have 13A, wherein in regards to the Indian Tamilians, they will have autonomous region there itself, and also in regards to the way we are, the China is going ahead with diversifying its foreign policy. China is making inroads, as we have got it. 11-1. Okay. If all these lies become a unit against China, it will backfire the salami slide. That is what I'm saying. In this entire midst of it, it is expanding its economic expansion. Along with that, it is going ahead with having its new, or reorienting the new global order. But in the midst of it, there could be a boomerang. That is what I've said also. I've used this word. There could be a boomerang, and then it could backfire China's salami slice strategy. Satya, I think you got it. And then Bangladesh was deeply miffed, annoyed with the CAA. So definitely what we discussed about CAA and the NRC. So definitely there is a lot of impact even from the Bangladesh and Afghanistan, where Pakistan, China, and Russia and the US are also involved in the transition process, and India is out of it. So definitely India is now almost kind of odd man out in the Indian subcontinent. And in the midst of it also, India has lost a jet in the neighborhood in its pilot, where capture was later on. That is Abhinandan Major. We have lost the jet, but this pilot was released, and this is definitely showing kind of decline the country's smart power. So the way we are unable to have its neighbor traditional influence, the way we are unable to have, or the slipperage or slipping of the traditional influence in its neighborhood is reducing, and this is very very clear that India's position is slipping in its neighboring countries, along its neighboring countries, and that India has to definitely focus. And because we haven't really looked at it seriously, China has taken the advantage. China has used very effectively the salami slice strategy. Salami slice strategy. And if you look at all this, the way Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, Sri Lanka, Afghanistan, if you look at all that, this is a strategic trap for India. And then it has very strategically been played by China. It has looked at various situations, that is in regards to the geopolitical and also geo-economical, that is global economy. When the entire global economy is shrinking, it is now targeting its expansion, especially focusing on India. And India has reached partly because of the lack of depth of strategic thinking. So if we compare that with China's salami slice strategy, India has definitely lacked the depth of understanding its strategic thinking. That is the way it got gone ahead with this, slicing each and every country, and then what is a kind of divide and then have the hegemony over it. Not divide and rule, but hegemony over it. And the deep embrace that is declining with the US is not a solution. We need to get somewhere the other, we need to get in close association with US, and we need to deal the issue of the problem. And the Pakistan has embraced the US. So we need to learn a lesson that if India is getting closer with USA, we have seen Pakistan has also got very close with USA. But what has happened was that during the Cold War between USA and Soviet Union, definitely Pakistan during the Cold War to check India. So definitely US was definitely trying to support Pakistan. US was definitely trying to support Pakistan in various scenarios also. Even in 1971, we have seen US was definitely trying to support Pakistan during the Bangladesh Liberation War, 1971. It was only the Soviet Union which has come to the rescue of India. So definitely now how we will go at how India will try to embrace USA and what will be the consequences. That is a result of being embraced deeply with the United States is also a strategic move, and it will also make sure that how we will look at it very strategically. And Satya says there is a need of smart diplomacy. Absolutely, from India's side towards its neighboring countries. And I have told a number of times, I've taken a session also earlier, that is neighborhood first policy. I've taken a session in regards to the in-depth analysis itself, almost one plus hour session on the neighborhood first policy. And now what we were discussing also is the main reason, that is India's traditional clout power in its neighborhood is slipping, and that is why we need to now focus on neighborhood first policy. And the conclusion is India should stand up to China's bullying on the border now, that is along the LAC, with a long term focus. So we should have a long term focus in regards to the LAC to have that tit for tat with China, or to handle China on enhancing capacities and winning back its friendly neighbors. This is what is important. We need to win back our friendly neighbors. That is, we need to get into the track once again the neighborhood first policy. Neighborhood first policy. There are no quick fixes this time. So definitely we need to start enhancing the capacity, and I mean within, that is militarily we need to enhance our capacity, and at the same time parallelly we should win back our friendly neighbors. Only then we can put an hold on the Chinese aggression along the LAC, or else it will be very tough to handle the way China is going ahead with the salami slice strategy. I think you got the entire understanding. That is to the conclusion now. And the question for you for the today in this entire, after this entire explanation for this article is, India needs a national security strategy. India needs a national security strategy that decoupled, separated the compulsion of domestic politics. So we need to keep aside domestic politics one side, and then we need to look at the friendly neighborhood. We need to look at the friendly neighborhood. So definitely we should not mix both the domestic politics with the friendly neighbors. No. What is that? We need to have the strategy. The way the China is going ahead with salami slide strategy, China, now India has to come up with the new or national security strategy, wherein we will decouple, we'll separate the domestic politics with the neighborhood realism or realism. That is the friendly neighborhood realism. Friendly neighborhood realism. And this is very, very important. And this is comment. India needs a national security strategy that's decoupled from the compulsion of domestic politics and anchored in neighborhood realism. And this is the necessity, need of the hour for India, to make sure that we are not just moving away traditionally. If we are definitely into that, yes, the result is China's aggressive along the LSE. And how other countries, now Nepal, we have seen, Bangladesh also will get into the fold of China, because China has gone ahead with almost 97% of its export. I mean, Bangladesh exports have been reduced. I mean, in regards to the 97% of that exports, in regards to the taxes, have been reduced. So definitely Bangladesh, rather than looking at India, it will look at China itself. So definitely that is a cause of concern. And this is very, very important. India needs a national security strategy that's decoupled from the compulsion of domestic politics and anchored. That means you need to get into the mode, or you need to follow that friendly neighborhood realism. Friendly neighborhood realism. And I feel that definitely this session was very, very important. That is in regards to, I will go ahead once again, that is this article, that is why China is being aggressive. Now you understand why China is being aggressive along the LSE, because of we losing our friendly neighbors, we losing, or the traditional grip what we had along the friendly neighbors had been losing. And that is what is important at this time, that we need to focus on reviving the friendly neighborhood, and then have a kind of situation or a scenario wherein we will get into the mode of trying to handle China very diplomatically. That is with the new strategy. And that strategy is very, very important, that we need to keep aside the domestic politics, and then we need to look at making sure that we are having the friendly relations back on track with the neighboring countries. That is, neighborhood first policy has to come into action once again, to make sure that we are gaining back or retrieving once again the very friendly relationship with our neighboring countries, with the national security strategy from India's point of view. And I hope this session was very important, and then it was knowledgeable. Do like the video, share the video, subscribe the video. That is, let's crack UPSC CSE English for 12 months or 24 months, and do use my code SPT10 while you are subscribing for Let's Crack UPSC CSE English, and you will avail 10% discount. And if you haven't downloaded the Unacademy Learners app, please go ahead with downloading the Unacademy Learners app, because you will be benefited, because you will have access to the Unacademy special classes, wherein you can have access to various courses, not only mine but various courses from various educators. So do download the Unacademy Learners app, and then have access to even UPSC CSE English in 10 minutes challenge. And the Telegram link is Let's Crack UPSC CSE English. Okay, before I wind up, Satya says that China, India. Can India go forward to make an agreement on a all borders issue with China as it did with Bangladesh? Yes, it can. But the way it is, China is claiming that, we have seen recently, China has said that entire Galwan is ours. So you please move away from that area. So that kind of aggression will not create any kind of permanent solution in regards to the India-China border affairs or border issues, or maintaining peace and tranquility along the India-China borders. And Satya says that again, victory of India over border issues with China will send a good message to other allies as well as its neighboring countries about the strength of China. Definitely. Now, what is very important is we need to get into the mode of still the military engagement and then the diplomatic engagement, making sure that China would realize the importance of losing India strategically if its aggression continues, and that we need to always project that India is strategically very important for China, is very important for China, that we need to keep it in mind. I mean, with that we need to project always when we are going ahead with military engagement and also in regards to the diplomatic engagement. And then we can make sure that we can have that kind of impact onto the China, that China is not going aggressively against India. And you can also connect to me through my Telegram link, that is http or t.me slash Sandeep Bhushan SBT, t.me slash Sandeep Bhushan SBT. And then thank you and all the best for your preparation. I would say that get into the mode of serious preparation, stick to this your schedule, and also make sure that there is consistency in your preparation. And then next class tomorrow at 7:30 a.m. and also at 10:15 a.m. Both, one at 7:30 a.m. and then 10:15 a.m. Thank you, and then all the best for your preparation. Do take care of your physical and mental health. Thank you all. Thanks to Chetan, Satya, Maunasri, Madhu, Sardi, everyone. See you tomorrow at 7:30 a.m. Study well.